welcome to Cover to Cover Comics, the series where I do a more in-depth analysis and discussion review of comic books I love and enjoy, or just want to share with the world and my viewers. And what this series really is about is hopefully opening up people's minds to experience comics in a different way, rather than just reading it as like a one-and-done kind of thing. Oh, that was a fun little fight scene between this character and that character. I want to look more in-depth and just see from the artistic perspective, from a storytelling standpoint, what might be going into these books that isn't just, look at these neat, colorful characters. And boy, do I have some neat, colorful characters to discuss today. This is Thunder in the Netherworld. This is the Mighty Thor number 130 by Stan Lee, writer, Jack Kirby, Stan the Man Lee, Jack King Kirby, and art, Vince the Prince Colletta, who I could not care less about. Vince Colletta is absolutely not my favorite Jack Kirby inker, and anyone who thinks that is wrong. And Artie Pussycat Simek. You couldn't think of anything else better than that, Stan? But here we are anyway. This is the classic tale of Thor. This is where, as we'll see when we get into the book, this is when Thor is still this strange, otherworldly being that is a technologically advanced race of otherworldly species that look like humans, but they're bigger and more durable and stronger, rather than the Walt Simonson take on it, where it's very classic mythology. But anyway, here we are. We start in media res as Thor makes his way to the god Pluto in the Netherworld because he's trying to save Hercules. Because Hercules made a foolish pact, an agreement with Pluto to rule the Netherworld, and now Thor is like, no, that can't happen, blah, blah, blah. That's essentially what we're doing here. Right away, we're just getting such beautiful compositions and page layouts and panels as Jack just introduces Pluto. He kind of looks like the Watcher. He has that classic evil goatee that we'll see later. And just, this is fantastic. Just pure explosion of energy. But it's not the classic Kirby crackling energy. This is a otherworldly, goddish, just, you can't even, like, how do you rationalize what this is? What would this look like in real life as this giant man just explodes into magenta? That's not a natural color. Sort of, like, burns himself away and tells Thor to go fuck himself, essentially, as Thor enters the realm into the Netherworld. Like, what is this? It's some sort of, I don't even know how to describe what is happening. It's not, it looks like it's almost like a pool of water, but it's not. It's kind of like a wavelength of light, because we see him sinking down into this abyssal portal into the Netherworld. It kind of reminds me of 11/22/63 by Stephen King. 11/22/63, which if you've never read it, fantastic book, highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite Stephen King novels. It is about time traveling back in time to 1963 to stop JFK from being assassinated. To do this, the portal to time travel is in one very specific spot, which is this old, like, storage closet in this restaurant, and you have to, like, close your eyes and sort of unfocus yourself from reality, and you just walk slowly into the darkness, and you feel yourself sort of stepping down steps, just automatically, and eventually you stop and you're in the past, and you know, go back to the future, you have to do the same thing but in reverse. That is what this feels like. Erases into nothing is what reality is doing right here as Thor walks into the realm of the netherworld, but, you know, since he's Thor, he doesn't have to do this whole thing where, like, oh, you must focus yourself and close your eyes. Well, he just marches his way into hell, essentially. And here we get just, oh my god, this is fantastic. Look at this panel layout of whatever is happening. This is apparently the netherworld. The eternal netherworld, the most dreaded realm of all. 'Tis here I shall gain for Hercules his freedom, or lose mine own, till the end of time. Just fantastic. Like I said, this is the era where the mythology of the Norse gods and now the Greek gods are just absurd sci-fi beyond the comprehension of man. And that is exactly what this is. What is this? It almost looks like it'd be like roots of the world tree or something. And there's like a face right here and an eye, and like, is what on earth could Jack Kirby have possibly, like, in his mind have had this be? This is some sort of like amalgamation of all of the cursed souls that have been sent to the netherworld under Pluto's reign, and now they formed this horrific, sprawling root system. Ironically enough, a root system which is traditionally used for, you know, to give trees life and spread, is now in this otherworldly hell. And just, oh my god, it's insane. Is Thor, has he been walking this whole time, or did he just go straight from here to here? This is Cerberus, the classic guardian of hell, and here he is. He's not a giant dog, he's a giant man. But what I love about this is, you know, classically Cerberus has 3 heads. So Jack gives him this insane helmet that has these, like, eye beams that shoot out, according to this, rays of destruction. It's just such a crazy gladiator sci-fi design. He even had, you know, he has like the almost classic depiction of a gladiator's like sleeveless one arm and then covered on the other. This insane weapon, oh my god, just it's part hammer, part like spear, like incredible. So Cerberus shows up and he tries to destroy Thor. Obviously that's not gonna happen because it's Thor. I love these 2 little in-between panels right here, which, this pose especially, it just depicts so much motion that is going on with Thor. Because look at the size difference between these two to begin with. Massive. Just grotesquely enormous. Whatever Cerberus even is. The near human something. But Thor leaps atop his helmet, and he says, "Ready thyself then, with foes such as thee. The hand of Thor shall not be stayed in the name of mercy." And then, boom! Explodes his fucking face, destroying his helmet, sending him landing on the floor. I also realized that Cerberus has toe shoes. He has those little armored shoes for his individual toes. But this right here, it just, you can hear like the thud as he hits against the side of his face, essentially. And he's like almost, just the way it's depicted, it just makes it, you can feel that Thor is almost slipping off and really trying to hold his place onto this giant's head before he sort of brings his arm back in and fucking just clocks him. And I love that. I don't know if, I guess that makes sense to have Thor's little face right here, just sort of to give the reader reference as to where he might be in this image. But I feel like this does it well enough, even though they miscolored it. This should have been green. It's just funny that there's a disembodied Thor head floating right here. It might look better without it. Who cares? And then we get a little side story with Jane Foster and this woman named Tana Nile, who I can't remember who it is. Might be Enchantress. Probably is the Enchantress. It seems very Enchantressy, just based on how Stan Lee's writing her, which we all know Stan Lee, not the best writer of women. Meanwhile, in the netherworld, Hercules, who it becomes even funnier as a character if you read his lines sort of with the voice of Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows and the IT Crowd. But he has essentially, because he's signed this pact to rule the Netherworld, he's become depowered. So he's still a big, strong guy, but he's not as strong as he used to be, so all of these sort of minions of Pluto are now trying to stop him from escaping so that they can crown him as their king forcibly. And this, I love this. I don't know what it is about this image of Thor. It just doesn't feel Jack Kirby. I think it's just the roundness of it, right? It also feels very Mignola. Like this just, that pose, the way his legs are sort of splayed out like that. I think also the inking, it just feels very Mike Mignola. There's a sort of softness to this image. There's a dynamicism that isn't traditionally Kirby, I feel. Which is, like, while he is still poised dynamically, his body is twisted, his torso is askew, it doesn't have that same effect that a normal Jack Kirby melodramatic pose typically does. But he tells them to stand away, scions of evil, because he's here to fuck up their day and save Hercules, his enemy / sometime buddy. This episode is brought to you by my Patreon and my comics, Destructo Boy and the Custodians Agents of Cross. Each issue of the Custodians Agents of Cross is over 60 pages of pure comics, written, illustrated, colored, lettered, designed. Everything you see in these books was created entirely by myself. And this asks the all-important question, what if the only heroes that can save the world are an intelligent baboon, a girl who controls fire, the world's smartest man with the power of elasticity only in his right arm, and a four-armed werewolf? And this just follows their exploits. Like I said, it is a love letter to the 60s, Silver Age, and to all of comics in general. As you'll see as the series progresses to its 6th and final issue. This entire first issue, however, is posted in its entirety on my Patreon, patreon.com/Smokey's videos, where you can read the entire thing for only $2. Normally this book, I sell it for $15, which already is a far better deal than anything you're getting from Marvel or DC these days. But as little as $2 a month, you can get access to the entire issue. And I am serializing issue 2 as we speak. But that's not all, because I also have my sci-fi, zany, just crazy fun series, fun for the whole family, all-age comic, Destructo Boy. Destructo Boy follows this little robot guy right here as he lives on a giant space station in the far-flung future, and he battles crime, giant robots, giant monsters, and evil conquerors from space such as Grimlax the Astro Knight. Each of these issues just introduces as much zany sci-fi craziness as I could fit into these books. They're being serialized on my Patreon as I speak as well, and you can pick up all 5 issues on my Etsy shop, blaketwilde.etsy.com. This pose very much makes me think of Mike Allred. Just the splayed out hands, the giant torso, the sort of posing of the legs. Very fantastic looking illustration. This one is just odd. There's something odd about this panel too. I think it's a printing error or something, because if all these lines are so small compared to everything else, and I just feel like he doesn't have a face. It looks like they inked it too finely, and then the printer just didn't pick it up. Because then we get back to the super blocky and thick blacks. This is another fantastic looking Thor. I love the negative space of his bootstraps. That's my favorite thing to see right here. That looks so cool. Just have the color holding just going down his calf. Fight scenes. That's what we're getting here. We're getting fight scenes. Thor just wrecking these guys' day. They bring in all their crazy action figure mobiles. This just looks like a Masters of the Universe vehicle. destroys their little wheelie cycle thing and sends them careening out of whatever temple they're in. Just insanity what is about to happen. The weapons of the netherworld are well nigh inexhaustible, Thunder God, as you shall forthwith see. Pluto's turbulence trap, an artificial wind pressure designed to slay anything that lives. Thor's in a wind tunnel. It seems like this is almost like Pluto has turned the netherworld into some sort of adventure theme park, right? This is just an insane panel to attempt to depict, because he's in this turbulence chamber. And I don't even know. Like, I guess it's just wind pressure blows down on you so hard that you just die against the floor? I feel like Vince Colletta might take a little too much artistic license with Jack Kirby. I don't like Vince Colletta because there's a lot of examples of him just completely ignoring Jack Kirby's pencils. Like, the famous one I can think of is like a crowd scene in Asgard, and there's just a bunch of detail and other characters drawn in the background and stuff, and Vince Colletta just didn't bother inking those at all. He just seemed like a jackass. So I don't know, did he just take artistic license here, or how closely does this resemble the original Kirby pencils? Because this, again, it feels too mainstream, I think might be a good way to depict it. It doesn't feel like Jack Kirby. Like, if I just take this one panel out, that could be John Romita. That seems more like. But it's something about the face and just how many, like, little lines are added on, and like I said, the curvature of it, the roundness. This feels like Kirby. This is definitely Kirby. And then, like, these last two panels, like, look how fucking big these dudes are, the crazy stuff going on. Something about this is just off. I don't know. If anybody has any suggestions about what it is, I'm not picking up. Crazy stuff going on. Here's Jack Kirby. That's Jack Kirby. He's getting arrows shot at him. This makes me reminisce of Frank Miller Wolverine in Japan story where all the arrows are coming at him. He just destroys this, like, protruding rock face that these guys are... Okay, it's like a rock climbing wall. I'm pretty sure Pluto has turned the netherworld into a theme park. And finally, Pluto's like, stop! You have destroyed all my stuff! Within a matter of minutes, you have torn down what it has taken me ages to create. Stop! I'll tear up the contract. Leave me alone. Go away. So yeah, Thor saves the day via destroying enough stuff, and I love this. This is a great, just gestural image of Thor. Just how exhausted he is after going through all that. I bet that turbulence chamber really got to him too. And then fucking Hercules walks over, he's like, I am now free! And it slams his hands back and destroys some other stuff. Very comedic moment. And Hercules threatens Pluto some more, even though he's clearly unable to do anything. And Pluto's like, hey, remember where you are, motherfucker. I got all the power here. And they shake hands, and Hercules officially announces that henceforth I shall call thee friend. And I thee. I love Hercules. Kinda. Hercules is a really fun character because in my mind, he's always like this. He is very brash and abrasive. He's very full of himself and pompous. He is Thor when he first shows up, before he has that sort of humility and, like humanization, I suppose, where he realizes that there's more important things than sort of the selfish, hedonistic lifestyle, which makes sense because he is Hercules. But they're just such a fun dichotomy of characters. Just Thor being, like, noble and, like, fighting for a just cause on this side, and then Hercules just getting drunk and fucking shit up for the hell of it on the other side. They're just a fun pairing. And I really dig whenever the writers of, like, introduce that sort of dynamic between the two. Because, like I said, it's just really fun to see. Hercules is just a silly character, and I really like his design. So that was Thor number 130, Thunder in the Netherworld. just a fun little quick story, just quick one and done. Very sort of rough outline of a story, I suppose. Not much really does happen. It's very much a continuing kind of a tale being told, a serialized epic, if you will. But it's still a fun, enjoyable little read. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. As always, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Smokey'sVideos, and etsy.com. Follow me on Instagram at NotBlakeWilde. And yeah, just what did you think of this little Thor issue? Any longtime Thor heads in the comments, let me know. If you have any suggestions on what books to cover on this series, cover to cover comics, let me know. I got plenty back here to choose from. But if there's anything specific you want, let me know, because I might not have it, and I might have to get it. But, as always, I will see you next time when I go cover to cover. Bye!